Hey girl, let's talk about those flaky friends for a second. You know the ones. They promise to hang out, then cancel at the last minute. Over it? Same. Imagine this instead. The Meet the World Writers Cruise, setting sail August 29th, 2025 from Miami. New faces, good vibes, and no one flaking on you. It's just you, a group of ambitious, like-minded writers, and some well-deserved fun in the sun. And here's the kicker. Only 30 cabins and the first 15 signups get a $200 discount. Why wait around for those friends to come through? Make new ones. Write your story and have the time of your life. Now is the time to write your future bestseller. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson, and I am back with a new episode of the Horizons Author Lounge. And I'm just going to let you know, like I tell you every week, this week is going to be amazing because I have two amazing guests. And so, but before I get started, you just the promo for the Meet the World Writers Cruise. Um, the time to procrastinate is over. I've had so many people tell me they're interested in this cruise, but y'all haven't paid your deposits, and I don't know what's going on. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but we really want to make this cruise happen. So if you have been thinking about being a part of this cruise and you just haven't made the move yet, please make sure you contact me to get more information. You can go to the website, www.mtwimagesolutions.com/cruise. We only have about 10 cabins left, and we really want you guys to be a part of it. We want to pack this thing out. So go ahead, go to the website. You can also message me for more information, and I will be hosting a Zoom in the next week or two, so I can get you guys some information. You can ask me all the questions that you just bring them to me. Bring them to me because, like I said, this is going to be an amazing cruise. It's going to be an amazing experience, and I really want you guys to be a part of it. The classes that we have planned are just going to be out of this world. We have a lot of special guests coming, a lot of great activities. So this is not just work, it's also a vacation. So we want you guys to be a part of that. So like I said, contact me or go to the website if you'd like more information about the cruise, but we definitely want you there. I also want to announce for those of you who are in the process of writing your books, I have started my new digital product store. You know that I'm a book coach as well as a literary consultant. And what I like to do is support my fellow authors. So I have some great digital products that you really need to take advantage of. And they're not expensive at all. I have a worksheet that you can use to help you to map out your characters. I have another worksheet out your plots. Now, these are things that you can use right away, and they're going to help you with your writing. You can refer to them all throughout your writing process as you're writing your story. And you can use this whether you are a fiction writer, whether you're a nonfiction writer, whether you're writing a book, or whether you're even writing a movie script. These are great products for you to use. I also have my workbook, the Right to Win Writers Workbook, that you really want to be a part of. And I have the Right to Win community that you can get monthly, you can subscribe to monthly for even more writing help. This is what it's all about, guys. I'm here to support you all, and I'm hoping that you'll take advantage of these amazing products because it's time to get these books out there. We have so much going on right now. Y'all know what's going on politically. This is the time for you to be not just putting out something to get a side hustle going on, but putting out quality products so you can make even more and more sales. So you might even be able to sustain yourself just on the books that you write or your speaking platform or what have you. And I'm going to talk, this first guest that I'm about to bring on is doing just that. Just the messages that she is promoting right now and the platform that she has is wonderful. And I cannot wait for you all to meet her. So without any further ado, please welcome Miss Rhonda Foster.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, thank you for being here. I was excited. And I tried to message the guests to make sure we were good, and you answered right away, like, "Yes, we are on." And I said, "Yes."
Yes, ma'am.
So, please, tell everybody who Rhonda Foster is, and then tell us about this amazing platform that you've created for yourself.
Well, Rhonda Foster, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. I earned a bachelor's degree from DeVry University, and I earned my MBA from Texas A&M University. I am a native
Wonderful.
Houstonian, best known for my philanthropism and my capacity building here in the Houston community. I've encountered many obstacles, such as like verbal abuse in domestic violence relationship, the death of a spouse,
Mm,
15 years of infertility. I'm a child of an incarcerated parent to this day. I was born to teenage parents. I've struggled with mental health issues, and I've had some issues with. I've been divorced, the loss of my mother, uh, abandonment, all those issues, and many more. I can go on to say that as many of us have struggled with some of those things. However, I've learned to use those obstacles to champion as a method to share with others my testimony or how I overcome and how I'm still maneuvering through the journey. To be honest, I'm still maneuvering through
mm,
self support. I'm an advocate of therapy. I'm an advocate of making sure that you have exhausted every opportunity and every avenue to dissect the core issues that you may be struggling with. And just so happened, my core issues started as a child in childhood trauma. So
mm.
my book and this platform is an opportunity for me to share with others. It may be teenage parents who've had a child today in today's society, or it may be someone born to teenage parents and you're struggling with some of the abandonment issues. You're struggling with some of the issues that have traumatized you. It just may be the verbal abuse. It may be because trauma looks different, Dr. Rhonda, for
Right,
everybody.
right,
In my case, it wasn't verbal abuse. It was just some of the words that were said to peers who I was, and it changed the trajectory of who I was as an individual. And for me, I didn't take note of that until I was an adult. And so my book is a platform for me to share those things with people within the community and not feel slighted about it. And that's what I want to share with others, not to feel slighted about it, but to do the work to determine where those core issues started at so that you can begin the healing process. Because what my journey was is that I realized what was done to me. And as my son, who my baby son, he's now 14, but I started seeing signs of what my mother did to me when it came to,
mm,
as she said, I started seeing those signs within things that I was doing for my son. And so I knew that it was really time to do the work and not just say I'm doing it, but to actually get to the core of what
right.
was causing my trauma, or what was the triggers of my trauma.
You know what I think is amazing when I listen to your story is that when you started listing all of all of these things, for some people that can be an excuse why they don't want they can't go any further, or
Mhm.
this is why I can't have a career, this is why I can't go to college, this is why I can't succeed, this is why I'm going to stay right where I am. But you actually said, despite this, I'm going to do that. And like I said, you built a platform for yourself. You're with speaking and writing, and you are actually encouraging other people that they don't have to settle for their circumstances just because that happens to be where they started.
Absolutely. And I'll be totally honest with you. When we're in those situations, all the things that I listed, when we're in those situations, I know for me, it was my normal life. I didn't know anything different. And so sometimes we look at those situations, this is just life for me,
Mhm.
and my trauma came with, and in the book, it shares with you that my trauma came, my mother wasn't abusive. My mother was a loving parent. My mother was, she was the most kind person that you ever want to meet. And the trauma that she caused me was not intentional. It was the things that she said to try and prevent me from becoming a teenage parent. And if those things were, don't make the mistake that I made. And getting
Mm,
pregnant was a mistake. And so as a child, I heard mistake. And so
mm,
throughout my life, any room that I was in, I felt that my voice may not have been loud enough, or I didn't deserve to be in that room, because again, mistake was the layer of who I was. I was not supposed to be here. And so I use that now into today. That was the core of me getting therapy, because I had to work through, am I really a mistake? And of course, I definitely want to share that if you are Christian based, you know God doesn't make mistakes. He said
Amen.
when he created the world, he looked back and said, it's good. So I
Right.
have to know that I'm intentional, that God intended to use my parents as a vehicle, teenagers or not, for me to be here. But that took a lot of hard work. And so many people, when you're in those situations, when you've been told that you're a mistake, and when you've been put in situations where you don't believe that you deserve to be, you begin to believe that because that's all you know. That's all
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I beg upon individuals, young and old, that to understand and realize that everything God has done, he's done with good intention. And so your intent, his intent is for you to be here. And I had to realize that my parents were on assignment. I'm an assignment. I was their
Mm-hmm.
assignment. And so, as their assignment, they completed it, whether I liked it or not. How my mother, her fear of me becoming a teenage parent, the way she projected on me, she was a child. She was a
Right.
child. If you look back at that, you would truly see she was a child, and she was doing in her mind what she thought would prevent me from not living my best life. And it
Mm-hmm.
just so
And
happened to change my life.
that's what I was actually going to ask us. I think sometimes parents they mean well, but sometimes they use the wrong wording. And I'm quite sure your mother loved you.
Oh, absolutely.
And right, she didn't consider you specifically a mistake, but she didn't want you to maybe follow the same pattern that she did. And I think sometimes parents will make this joke, yeah, you were a mistake. I didn't, your dad didn't put a condom on that day, or I forgot
Yeah,
to take the
yeah,
pill that day. So yeah, you were a mistake. And they say it in a joking way, or I think in your mom's case, it may not have been said in a joking way, but it was said in a way because, like I said, she didn't want you to repeat her pattern.
absolutely.
But I think sometimes parents forget that the word mistake, as you said, can be internalized. And then you start to wonder, should I have been here in the first place? Or do I have any worth? And
Mhm.
even when it's said in a joking manner, those same words can still um, have still be internalized, and you can still not see yourself in the best light.
Absolutely. And again, that's why I'm an advocate for therapy, because you internalize those things and they follow you. They follow you in every situation, even the best of situations. I've been afforded great opportunities in my professional life, but in each one of those positions, Dr. Rhonda, I always second guess myself. I always wondered, am I really supposed to be here? Was this just a chance opportunity? So you start to challenge yourself in those situations, and your voice is not as loud as it would have been if you didn't have those shadows of thoughts in your head.
Right,
Um,
right,
and it wasn't until I did the work, one, that I had grace on my mother and my father. Because as I thought about my mom as a teenage mother in the 70s, how embarrassing it had to be pregnant, one. And then two, when in the 70s, you didn't get to go to school with your friends when you were pregnant. They sent you to a different school. And so
mm,
I began to think about what my mother endured. And then for my father to go to prison at 17, I was only 9 months. And for him to go to prison and leave her with this baby, now what do I do? I had great grandparents, but the truth is, it shows how we have the cycle of dysfunction. My mother had her
right,
mother and father in her home. And in the 70s, you know, little boys, they knock on your door without your father saying, who are you? Like, what you
right,
want in my house?
right.
But the truth is, as much as my grandfather was loving, he wasn't attentive to his household, right? And
Mm,
so my mother didn't get from her mother what she was trying to give me. And so she was in the 70s, 16, had a baby. Now the father's incarcerated. So all of these negative thoughts in her head that she failed. And so
Right.
I'm going to have this baby. She's not going to fail. And so my
Mm.
mother said things that she thought would help me to stay on a straight and narrow path. But it did at some point, it did give me kindness. I definitely am a replica of my mother when it comes to kindness, when it comes to giving, supporting. But I also started replicating, like I said early, some of those fears and projecting fears on my son. And so my mother didn't
Mm.
have those things. And so it's just important as parents that we pay attention to the words that we say, even though we may not have had the loving environment that we fantasize about. I think that it's important to realize there's no manual to being a parent. It's no manual to that at all. But you know what didn't feel good to you.
Right.
And so it's
Right.
important for you to understand, how do I not project this on to my child? How do I not project this onto my children? And sometimes we have to do the work. And again, that's what the book is about. The book talks about the roots, the limbs, the leaves. It talks about vines, dirt and gravel. It's the core of what a jungle really is. And so conceived in a jungle, it's also a workbook. It allows you
Mhm.
to do the work in yourself. I talk about my life, but it gives you opportunities to look at you and how this parallels with your life. And so from that point, you decide about therapy, because I love my therapist, doctor. Her name is Elizabeth Anderson, and I'm not promoting on your platform, but it's important. It's important that I share that when you're seeking a therapist to help you unravel these things, that you seek a therapist that's going to hold you accountable,
Yes.
that's also going to help you get to the core. I had been going through therapy for years before this, but nothing. It was just going through the motion. This particular therapist, I definitely vetted. I looked at reviews. I looked on different websites about this person, and this lady has helped me over the last 2 years to accomplish more than I ever have, and to truly
Nice.
be honest with myself. And that's what helped me to birth this book, because I wanted to share with individuals that your past does not have to define you.
Yes.
It does
Yes.
not
Absolutely.
define you, but it definitely helps you to iron out your purpose, because your purpose is all wrapped up in your past. And you have to unravel that, and you have to trust this process. Everything happens for a reason. And remember, again, there's no manual to parenting. And, I
Yeah.
definitely
And
want
everybody's not going to get it right the first time,
to
or the
not.
second time, or the third time.
Absolutely. It takes time, and it takes grace, and it takes mercy. Um, I can't say that enough. And I have to say, I am most thankful to my mother did go on to marry, and she
Oh,
married
wonderful.
my bonus dad. And that's my dad. My dad taught me worth ethics. I definitely acknowledge that because of him, he taught me to work for what I want.
Mm.
Don't ask people to do anything for you that you can do for yourself. And so it made me work harder. And so
Yes.
I had the struggle of, you don't supposed to be here with whatever you want, you can attain. So that was the struggle in me. And again, therapy helped me at the age that I am now to truly understand the core of who I was and where all of the triggers were birthed from.
Well, when people come on the show and talk about therapy and how they overcame certain things, I always have to ask, when did you realize that this is what you needed to do? Because there are people who don't think that they need therapy, or they'll look at you and they'll say, "Well, that's easy for you to say. You were able to get over it, but you don't know what I've been through." So, and you probably said some of those same things at some time. So, when did you realize that this was the time for you to go to therapy?
Last year, January 27th, 2020.
You knew the exact time.
And I say it jokingly, but when you realize that you have truly hit rock bottom. Oftentimes we walk out of our houses with masks on. People ask you how you're doing.
Yes.
I'm doing great. How's your day? Oh, it's wonderful. But inside, it's just as dark as the day that you lost the most important person in your
Mm,
life.
mm.
And that's where I was, in a dark place, walking out. And of course, in my family, I am the strong person. I am the person that people
It's
rely
hard
on.
being the strong person. When you're the strong person, people don't check on you. They
And
just think
people
that you're okay.
and they can't relate because it's like, you're strong, you can handle that. And the truth
Right.
is, I was breaking because my son now is a preteen. He's going to ninth grade, and he's going to have all of these experiences with peer pressure and all these things. And so all of those things were starting to crowd my mind, and it was bringing up triggers. And
Mm,
the triggers were my fear of, I don't want my son to, and of course I'll say my biological father, his entire family struggled with drug abuse. And so all of those triggers of, this could happen to my son, this could happen to my child, this,
right, right.
I found myself projecting my fear on my child. And it took my son saying to me, Mom, like, come on already. And just that simple statement, come on already. It was like, oh my God, and it wasn't out of disrespect that he said it, but it was just the fear I was giving was smothering
Right,
him. I know
right,
that
right.
I did not want my son to be me at my age when he's old. I just didn't want it.
Your mom said it probably said the same thing.
I do believe that.
Mm,
And anyone who knows my mother, who knew her, knew she was so loving. And my mother
yeah.
loved her children. When she had my sister and I, she loved us. She used to tell people, I fight a bear behind my children. And I believe her. I did believe her. And she had no idea that those words were the words that I remember most out of our conversations as me growing up.
Mm. Yeah, you just never know. Well, now tell me, because I know we only have a few minutes left. How do you suggest a person approach your book? How should they read it? And can you show the cover one more?
Yes, I sure can. And look, I always keep it with notes and tabs and everything.
I
But
see you've been using that book.
this is the cover, and you can get it on Amazon. It's Conceived in a Jungle, Rhonda Foster memoir. And I just believe you should approach it with an open mind. And, I want to share this as well. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves that we can't see past unraveling because it's the, I don't deserve, I shouldn't, and nobody's going to do this. This book is about you and you alone. It's
Mhm.
about you dissecting those things because we get lost in the jungle and we can't see the sunshine. But I promise you, if you read this book, it will help you to maneuver through some of the obstacles that you have. And so, like I said, sometimes we suppress and we
Yeah.
suppress and we go on, oh, I'm fine, I'm great. When if a trigger comes up, we don't
Yep.
understand why sometimes we just go off on the person in front of us at the grocery store. That person said something that somebody may have said to you when you were a child. Somebody may have said to you when you were
Mm,
defending yourself. And
good
so
point.
it's important that we realize where these triggers are, where they're birthed and where they come from. And so Conceived in the Jungle is definitely a beginner stage of the core of your triggers and your trauma. And it will help you to identify what your actual issues are. And it also help you to see how important you are at the table. You will realize that your voice matters more than you've given yourself credit for. It
I
really
love
does.
that. I
Mhm.
love that. That I mean, you got to say that again because often, and I have to do a lot of self reminding myself,
Mhm.
um, because I start to think, well, so and so is doing so much better than I am, or why is it so and so can do it, or do I really matter? And we often have to remind ourselves, no matter how well we're doing in life, we still have to remind ourselves that our voices matter.
Your voice matter. It definitely matters more than ever, especially in today's climate. It's important that you understand that
Yes.
people have the right to do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you should never compare yourself to that person. God made you specifically who you are. He made you in the likeness of who and what your purpose is. So comparing yourself to someone else, that is a definitely a road to disaster, because guess what? You don't know what they're going through. You don't
Yep.
know what's behind their doors. You
Yep.
don't know what they're not telling the truth about. You don't know if they're walking out of the house smiling, faking at the same time either. So I always press upon people,
I
do
think a
not
lot of people are doing that.
I tell people, do not send yourself down that rabbit hole, because you will find out that, oh my God, they $300,000 in debt. Oh my God, they don't have this. Oh my God, they stole that. Don't do yourself like that. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know what they had to go through to get to where they are. Good or bad, you
Amen.
don't know. Your destiny
Amen.
and your journey is your destiny and your journey. And you should not be distracted by what other people are doing, because that takes you from your journey. Your journey is your journey. So what if you're doing something that looks like somebody? So what if it mimics them? You do it to the best of your ability, and you make sure that when you put your hand, the stamp of approval on it, that it's to your liking and not caring about anybody else.
Amen. Amen. Now, what do you have planned for this book?
I want to use this book, of course, with the climate today, my new, what I'm doing, I have opportunities where I want to speak to individuals that are dealing with trauma, just to understand trauma. In May, I'm doing a trauma awareness conference, and it's our educators asked to do too much. Our educators are in situations where they deal with trauma every day. They
Yes.
exceed what our children are dealing with. And then also some of them have trauma that are being triggered by what some of the children are doing. And so May 31st, I'll be hosting a trauma awareness conference for educators. And that's educators all throughout the state. So I'm going to be sharing that on my Facebook page. I'm going to be sharing that all throughout platforms. But I want to make sure that I get into and share as much as I can with foster care agencies, with schools, with educators, and with people who just been affected in Christian ministry. I'm available to share information about trying to dissect, not trying, but dissecting the core of your trauma, and providing support services for those opportunities, and working with different therapists and counselors that have the expertise to address those concerns.
Awesome, awesome. So once again, I know we're just about out of time, but once again, tell us where we can find the book.
Mhm.
How much is it? Is it better to go to your website or to go to Amazon? Are we still going to Amazon?
You can go to Amazon and purchase the book. I will be uploading the book on my page. You can go to my Instagram page and find the book, which I think Danielle has placed it in the chat. But I will, if you're interested in ordering the book, you can also email me at Rhonda Foster at fosteringcc.com. And that's Rhonda Foster at fosteringcc.com. And I can send the book out that way as well.
All right. Now remember, call that Rhonda. If you call this Rhonda, I'm just going to point you to that Rhonda.
I know
So
my
Rhonda
dad.
Foster, not Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
When I shared the flyer with my dad was like, "Oh, so you're a doctor now?" I say, "No, Dad, that's the host, Dr. Rhonda."
Oh, I love it when the guest has the same name as me. But I went back and looked at a message I sent you, and I thought it was you sending something to me because it said, "Hey, Rhonda." I was like, "Oh, wait, that's me talking to her."
It's not common anymore. It used to be, but help me, Rhonda was the thing that I got made fun of in elementary
Oh,
school.
girl, me too. They used to sing that song to me. I hated that song.
Me too.
But I
Me
also
too.
hated it when people call me Rahonda.
Rhonda, because they used to spell it Rohnda. I was like, what is that?
Right.
But thank you,
Oh,
Dr.
goodness.
Rhonda, for allowing
Yeah,
me
we
on
can
this.
look back on it and laugh. No, I'm honored to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. If you ever want to come back to the Horizons Author Lounge, all you have to do is just say the word.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a great night.
To everybody else too. Thank you guys for joining in.
All right, y'all. That was Rhonda Foster. Like I told you, her platform is amazing. Please go out and support this book. maybe you have it all together. Maybe you don't need it, but I bet you know somebody who does need it. So go out, purchase the book, make sure that you get it to somebody who is going through their own trauma, because they can work their way out of it. I mean, just because of where they started does not mean that this is where they have to end. So now, in the meantime, to talk with somebody else who's also talking a little bit about growth as well. So I'm going to bring Miss Nia Brown.
Hi, how are
Can you hear
you?
me? Thank
Yes, I can
you.
hear
Yeah.
me.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's been a great show so far. I've been here since 7.
Oh goodness! All right, go ahead, girl. I love it.
Yes, yes, shout out to Miss Rhonda. It was a really nice show, but happy to connect with you again. How you been?
Well, happy to connect with you as well. I'm doing well. I just got off work a little while ago, and as usual, I come straight to my office to do the show. So I'll chill later, but right now I got to talk about you.
Thank you so much.
So why don't you go ahead and tell the people who is Nia Brown?
For sure. Hello, world. So, my name is Nia Brown. I am an author, an entrepreneur, and the CEO. My book is called So You Want to Be an Adult, and my company is called Adult Wannabe. I target people ages 16 to 103. I figured by the time they're 103, they probably know how to be an adult, hopefully.
Look, girl, I'm halfway there, and I'm not ready yet either.
You never know. So I made it for everybody that can just, gain a little something out of life, that's still learning how to navigate this thing called life and adulthood. I talk about 7 different chapters. I think a core, themes within adulthood, going back to school as an adult, if you're interested in furthering, your education, paying bills and what that looks like since things keep changing, interest rates keep changing.
Yes.
Being the bigger person when you feel disrespected by someone, whether that's professionally or
Ooh,
personally.
goodness.
And I'm
I,
going
I
to
had to I had to talk myself through something about like that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it can come at you so fast, and in a split decision, you can make the right decision or maybe something that's a little left. So I talk about how, just understanding those emotions. I feel like as kids, we might throw temper tantrums or, something to get in the way of that. But as an adult, you have to really understand, like, hey, there are consequences behind my actions. I want to go
Yes.
off with my boss because they said X, Y, and Z. Not my boss because I love her. Shout out to Angela. But in general, you might want to go off with somebody and you gotta just take a few steps, count to 5, and keep it pushing.
Amen. 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 First of all, I love the title. Well, so, I think it's so you want to be an adult, but I love the adult wannabe part.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
figure like,
and
we're all trying to be adults at the end of the day. Nobody has
yeah.
this thing down packed, so we're all wannabes at the end of the
No,
day.
you're absolutely right. But I mean, and I know you probably did the same thing when you were a kid. We wanted to be an adult because we didn't want to have people telling us what to do. Or I can't wait until I'm an adult so I don't have to go to bed at 7. Or, it's always some little thing like why you can't wait to be an adult. And then you become an adult thinking, okay, now I'm going to have my own money. I'm going to have this. I'm going to
Yep.
have that. And then you realize it's not as easy as you thought it would be.
You
And then
realize
now you have adults saying adulting sucks.
that. I actually saw someone walking down the street the other day, going to the gym, and his shirt said "Adulting sucks." I was like, I want to ask him where he got that from because he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I'm like, it's
So
gotta go here sometimes.
it is. It really, my daughter says it all the time. Adulting is ghetto. She said, I hate it here.
And also,
But
I just feel like, there's no right or wrong. I mean, could be a wrong way to do it, but at the same time, it's really not. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own, life
right,
challenges.
right.
And that's really what I focus on in my book. I try to make it so it doesn't feel like someone's being attacked with the information. My book is strictly for just providing
Right.
information. And it's for people that might be open to new concepts of thinking about things from a different perspective, or some people that might just need a refresher. Like, hey, I used to know a little bit of information about credit, but maybe I should read some of these tools again just to refresh myself, understand what this means to me, things like that. So I try to keep it as calm as possible. So it's written on the 6th grade level so anyone can consume it. I don't know if you know, but the New York Times is actually written on a 6th grade level, so it's digestible by everybody. I want
Yeah,
everybody
actually, I
to
did know that. Most newspapers and magazines, believe it or not, are written on a 6th grade level.
Yep.
then they're not meant for only the bourgeoisie, so to speak, to read them. They want everybody to read to understand.
Yes. And that's really what because I just want people to get the message of the book. I want people to get the message of the chapters or whatever really resonates with them. I've gotten some great feedback from my family, my friends, and other supporters that said, hey, this kind of helped me during a challenging time. Sometimes I read it before bed just to kind of get my mind right before I go to sleep. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. So what's actually included in the book?
So within the book right now, I'm working on my own kind of workshop / workbook. But here is I don't know if you guys can see it. Maybe not.
Girl, turn that background off so we can see your book.
It might be the virtual background. My bad. It's the logo. But within the book, like I mentioned, it's 7 chapters. Probably about maybe a few pages, 5 to 10 pages for each chapter.
And is it like a workbook? Is it a book?
I'm going to be producing a workbook by the end of this year. Right now, it's just information, whether it's digitally, because I have an ebook as well, and I have it for physical copy and consumption. I'm working right now on the back end with a workbook coming that's going to be associated with the chapter. So say, hey, I kind of want to do a budgeting, or I want to do something with, navigating my time management, because I talk a lot about time management within my book, because I feel like that's something as an adult, you just can't grasp it sometimes. You might have so many.
I'll tell you, time management as an adult is hard because you're trying to do so many things. And now with the hustle mentality going on, everybody has a job and a side hustle, and then you still have other. I think adults actually have time management worse than the kids do.
Yes, at least the kids are on a schedule. They know they got to go to school from this time to this time, come home to eat, maybe change, play the game for a little bit, then they go into bed. They're doing it all over again.
Exactly.
Adults, some of us have to be mamas. They have to be caring daughters. They have to be, teachers for some of us that teach in the afternoons. I have a best friend that he goes to work, during the day, and he teaches at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore from, Mondays and I think Wednesdays. So all of us are always hustling and bustling, trying to figure out, hey, what's the next way I can make an impact in the world? How can I get my dollars stronger? How can I get the coins up? So we're always just all over the place as adults.
You are so right. So right. So what gave you the idea of even writing this type of book?
For sure. So my first job after college, I was working as a leasing agent. And it was so funny because the way I think about the dynamic between me and the women I was working with, I was in my 20s. There was one woman in her 30s and there was a woman in her 40s. So all 3 of us always had different perspectives on life because we were in different modes of our lives. Right. But we were able to explain and teach each other something new all the time. Like, no one acted like they knew more than the other based on age or just, different cultures. We were all, different races and things like that. So it was like a nice melting pot of us being able to connect. And the running joke was, I'm still the baby adult. They used to just call me the baby adult all the time. So it kind of just stuck with me a little bit. That was my first job that I was able to really sustain my bills. I was able to get my first apartment with that, get my first car with a car note with that. So I learned a lot during that time in my life. And I kind of used some of those core, I guess, understandings or learnings during that time. They kind of just pivot into the other side of adulthood. Like, okay, I learned this core foundation, but how can I branch off from this? How can I grow from X, Y, and Z to becoming who I really want to be? Because at the time I was a fresh college graduate. I was still in between figuring out exactly what I wanted to do. If I wanted to go back to grad school, I eventually did, but I was working full time while going to grad school, while still trying to have a life, while still trying to be, a good daughter, while still trying to be short for my friends and my partner. So I was doing a lot at that time, really trying to navigate. And so when I thought about Adult Wannabe, it was really from that moment. I didn't realize until recently that from that moment, it was being conceived and I just didn't know it. I didn't begin writing until COVID because we had so much downtime. And I was able to reflect back on my life and just think about the places I've been, the career strides I've made and the milestones I've crossed off in my life. And I was like, wow, I feel like a lot of this information or the things I've been through can be beneficial for other people. Maybe I should share it. And at first I kind of just shared it around my friends and I was shopping it to them like, what you guys think? They were like, hey, it's cool. And I was like, no, I think I'm about to kind of go full throttle with it. I think I'm going to invest in it and really trying to make this into a real book. And they were like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I just need y'all help. Just read over some chapters. It's before AI. So I'm having them do the manual legwork. I had a friend and
I never thought we'd get to the point where we said before AI and after AI.
crazy with things AI can do. I'm like, if I knew things then that I have now, but I had each person taking a chapter, reading it, proofreading it. I had my friend Nicole. Shout out to Nicole. She's a teacher at Milford Mill. She's reading one chapter. I had my other friend, Dr. Chandra Johnson. She's reading one chapter while she's in the middle of med school, going to Meharry. And my friends are being so supportive while they still have their own lives going on as adults. And we did the proofreading together.
You're interrupting people's medical school time.
I know. We went there. We had a great time for her graduation. We showed up for her, but she still had some time for me. I'm really appreciative of that. Like, you gotta really have strong friends and good support in your life that really help you through things. So, she helped me out during that time. Got all my edits back, submitted to a grand editor to do all the formatting, and we were good to go.
Awesome. So now that you have the book, are you going? Well, first of all, when was the book published? I know you said you started writing it in 2020.
I did. I started writing in 2020. It was originally finished in 2022. Then I had went through something kind of traumatic personally, so then I had to write one more chapter. I'm like, no, the world has to hear this. So the self has something to say, so I had to write one more chapter, and then I finally published it in 2023.
Okay, so now I'm sure you're building on this speaking platform, merchandise. How far are you going with this?
I'm trying to go as far as I can, honestly, Dr. Rhonda. I am working in all of the back alleyways of learning, like, hey, we want to get merch out for Adult Wannabe. I don't want to speak too much because I don't want to put rain on my blessings, but there are some things.
No, don't tell us everything now.
Can't tell everything. There's some things in the works. I've been partnering with some local organizations, especially in the Baltimore area. I've been really working with different adult literacy platforms to kind of help, encourage people to reading, just kind of giving back to the community and just being a resource, honestly, to those that are, older and younger. I've been working with different nonprofits that target middle school and high schoolers as well. So really just trying to get everyone involved in the Adult Wannabe movement.
Right.
Because I feel like you can never start too early. You become an adult.
You're in the DMV, but where in the DMV are you?
I'm in Prince George's County.
Okay, yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm basically on the tip of Prince George's County. If I trip, I'm gonna fall in the Charles County.
Oh, okay, see, right over there. I got you.
Right. So yeah, there are a lot of I've found in the last few years that I've been here that there are a lot of organizations that cater to the population that would be right for this book.
I'm sorry.
So so what now?
I said it blanked out for me. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I was saying that there are a lot of organizations in the DMV that cater to the population that would be right for this book.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you've gotten, you've been able to get to know some of them.
I've been getting to know some of them in passing. Right now, since my original mission was to I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. So I know that just systemically, Baltimore has far less resources than other counties, and Prince George's County happens to be one of them that has a little bit more resources. So right now, I'm kind of pivoting my way to making my rounds in my hometown, really working with some of the local, whether it's lawmakers, legislators, nonprofits, different organizations, to kind of just put the word out there about Adult Wannabe, partnering with other small businesses that have the like-minded mission of trying to just advocate for underrepresented communities, especially ours that might be minority communities, women, especially children. So right now, the answer to your question is yes, I've been kind of teeter-tottering with it, but I've been kind of going real hard in the paint back home.
But there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think I didn't notice how I said DMV and you said back home talking about Baltimore. So you don't think Baltimore is part of DMV? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. It's mad love. It's a lot of love. The Beltway love. I think that's what they call it, but it's not part of the DMV.
I know. I've been laughing at that argument since I moved here. I'm like, y'all are really serious about this, aren't you?
It's the same. I feel like how New York and New Jersey, like that's not the same.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Like, and when I put it that way, people be like, okay. I'm like Pittsburgh and Philly. They like, okay.
Yeah, okay. I guess. So walk me through the book. What are some of the subjects that you are discussing in each of these
Sure.
chapters?
So, like I mentioned, it's a 7-chapter book. I talk about credit, being the bigger person, going back to school as an adult learner or as a fresh high school graduate that might not know, they might be undecided on, hey, I want to, shift or major in XYZ, or they might just really be uncertain. I talk about how, some key methods I wish that I knew when I originally applied for undergrad, and that was many moons ago. But, I recommend for kids who might have, different goals. Someone might have the goal of, I want to go to XY university, but I don't know what I want to major, but I want to be an alumni of that particular university for whatever, reason, whether their parents went there as a, legacy, or they just have some type of affinity. I let people know, like, apply undecided. And you more than likely will be able to get into the university. And then within that first year or two, you can figure out exactly, hey, which way am I swaying? Do I want to do this major? Do I want to do that major? At least you can have some type of foundation to make a decision. I help people that are older that like, I kind of want to go back to school, but I have kids and I have a man and a husband, I have a dog, I take care of my elderly mom. So I talk a lot about time management because like we talked about earlier today, we wear many, many hats. And trying to manage, work-life balance, stress management, and just all the everyday life we life in, it can be challenging. So I really try to help people make a schedule and to understand what their capabilities are and just what their bandwidth is in general, recognizing it within themselves. And, I ask a lot of different questions within my book, like, hey, where would you be on this day at this time if you had nothing to do? How would you spend your perfect afternoon? Like, because sometimes you never ask yourself questions like that. And if you really thought it through, you can make a plan so that when you are free that next time, you can reflect on what you just said. I let people know, like, make a plan for your life and, call it an accomplishments list or just an achievements list, things that you're looking for even in your life. So you might have all these lists of goals, divvy it out. Say, hey, I want to achieve buying X, Y, and Z. I want to achieve buying my first house by 2028. What can I do to make that happen? Doing the research now on whatever those long-term goals are or short-term goals.
I think that's important because I think that we as adults, I remember the first time I bought a house, I was 26 years old.
Okay.
And I just, my husband and I were like, hey, we want to buy a house. I take that back. I think it might have been 27, whatever it is. But I was like, we want to buy a house. And so we hadn't planned for it. We didn't even know what the process would be like. We just said we wanted to buy a house. But now that I have been an adult for a little while and bought a couple of houses since then, now I want to make sure that my daughter, who's now 25, prepares herself for buying a house. And you don't wait until you're ready to buy the house to get ready for that, because that's such a long process and it's so disheartening sometimes. So, it's better to get yourself ready now. Same way if you want to buy a car, get ready now. Even with college, we had to learn, some of us had to learn the hard way. You can't get ready for college in your senior year. Start working on that as a freshman or a sophomore. And then move up. So I think that your book is actually a very valuable tool for helping people or young people to realize what they need to start doing now before they become an adult. So they don't just become an adult and say, okay, I'm ready for my $100,000 a year job in my brand new home.
Yes, exactly. And, I talk about my own personal struggles and testimonies throughout the ups and downs of adulthood. I talk about getting my first credit card and what that experience was like. And I'm like, hey, I got a Capital One with $200. I'm going to just keep racking it up and spending it again, pay it off, spend it again. I'm like, I'm not even utilizing this credit right. I don't really know much about it. Income ratio. I don't know about the 30% or less rule. So I was just kind of just winging it. And once I kept kind of going through my hurdles, like I mentioned, different bumps and different ups and downs, I'm like, maybe I can give all this information and leverage it to my little cousins or my little brother. But I'm like, honestly, everyone could use this. You don't know what someone's mentality with their age is. Some people go through trauma and they're stuck at whatever age they went through that trauma. So I thought about those people when I was writing this book. Like I mentioned, I'm from Baltimore. I have a strong love for my hometown city. And I've seen so many instances of people that might be 55 years old, but they still have the mindset of a 17, 18-year-old because of something that they might have went to jail at that age, or something traumatic might have happened. They might have been into substance abuse, anything. So
or they just haven't learned the lessons that they should have learned along the way. And they keep repeating the same mistakes.
Yep. And then a lot of times they're not provided the resources to kind of learn how to get out of that cycle. People repeat the same mistakes. I really believe some people do it just by nature and habit, but some people do it because they just don't know how to stop. They don't know how to get out of it. They might want to so bad, but they don't know how to get out of that cycle. And that's really something I try to emphasize within the book. Like, you know, the whole book is truly just about breaking those generational curses, because they can be locked in for so. And the thing is it's called generational curse. And it sounds cliche, but it's so real when you recognize it, whether within your own family or your own friends. And you're like, wow, I've seen great grandmother to grandmother to mother to child going through the exact same thing. And it's like someone has to break the cycle. Someone has to be the one that takes the charge and take the lead and say, hey, we're no longer going to be accepting this in our family. I'm going to be the one to make the difference. And I wrote this book like everyone has the opportunity to be the one that makes the difference. I feel like in my family, sometimes I'm regarded as one that, highly intelligent, the one that made it, I hate that term, honestly, because I think that all of us can make it. I don't think that it's like an anomaly. I don't think that God selectively chose me for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
We have our own mission. But if people had the same resources and the same support, they'll be able to achieve their dream selves. They'll be able to achieve their dream lives. And that's really what my book is about, promoting and encouraging.
Love it. Love it. So, have you gotten feedback from young people as well as older people? And how has that feedback differed amongst the ages?
The feedback has differed. I think the younger people are appreciative because some of this is just hot and vibrant and new. It might be older us, but some of this stuff is new. Like, I didn't know that if I did X, Y, and Z, that this would be the result. Like, some of this stuff is, because it's brand new to them. I mean, if they're 19, 20, 21 years old, they don't have the experience. So they read through the book. They're like, I might want to try this method. I never thought to do it this way because I didn't have the exposure. And then older generations, they're like, I never thought about it from that perspective because I wasn't taught that way. So a lot of times I feel like with the older generation, they might be not necessarily stuck in their ways, but because they're so habitual about things, they might have been taught from their parents or just, their influences. They'll do things out of habit. And sometimes it's hard for them to break those habits because they're so comfortable with some of those, decisions or habits, whatever the case may be. They're just comfortable. And people enjoy being comfortable because it doesn't make them have to break out of that zone. It makes them stay within that box. But I think that sometimes some of the content in my book might challenge them. Like, hey, are you being easier? Yeah. I'm like, are you being the best version of yourself? And if you're not, what are we going to do about that? Let's change it. Let's challenge it, because it's only you versus you. You're the only one that can stop you from getting in the way of all your goals. And you can make all your goals come true. You can make all your dreams come true. And that sounds very Disney and fairy tale-ish, but you see a difference in the ones that believe that and the ones that don't. And you see it in people's lives every single day.
And I don't know. I think sometimes advice sounds too good to be true. And we start thinking it's easier said than done. Or like you said, it's fairy tale. And it's not, it doesn't actually have to be fairy tale. Or maybe sometimes we give the good advice and we make it seem fairy tale. Like you can be anything you want to be. You put your mind to it and you can do it. I mean, that's true for the most part, but it's more than just putting your mind to it. You have to actually work toward it. And sometimes you do have to, it does depend on the people that you meet. But you just want to be ready when you meet those people.
Mm-hmm. And if you stay ready, you feel like you don't gotta get ready. You stay ready. You know the rest.
Right.
And I have an excerpt in my book. I'm here trying to find the quote because something that you just said was a complete synonym, pretty much, of what I just mentioned in here. Yeah, I'm like, Dr. Rhonda, you doing them quotes? But it's so true. Like I believe in, the universe, and I believe in, I'm a Christian first, but I believe in God and I believe in manifesting, but I also believe you have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort.
Yes.
And you have to
the Bible says faith without works is dead.
Yes.
I mean, so you can't just say, I know God is going to get me this house, or I know God is going to get me this job, but you've not done anything to prepare yourself for having that job. You've not done anything to prepare yourself for purchasing that home. And I keep saying purchasing a home because I went through a lot purchasing the home that I have right now. People don't realize the journey that you have to take in order to even get to purchase a home. It's way different from purchasing a car.
Yes.
But I think a lot of times we don't realize all of that. We just think it just happens.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know if I was gonna get my house till the day of closing. I was still
Girl,
expensive. I'm like, am I gonna get this house today?
I didn't want to get excited until he actually put the key in my hand. And
Okay, I'm like, till I signed the dotted line, because it just be so much going on in that process. So I understand.
No, because when I was purchasing the home, the sales agent told me that there was a lady who was actually on her way to closing, and she got a call on her way to closing. They were still asking about something on her credit report. I was like, ooh. So when I heard that story, I was like, I'm not getting excited until they put the key in my hand.
I'm telling you, I feel like the closer you get to it, you just get more anxious and anxious. You're not sleeping. You every time the phone rings, you're like, please don't be my realtor telling me something. Like, I get it 100%.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah, but did you find the excerpt?
I believe I did.
Yay.
Okay. And so this is going to be in chapter, I believe the second to last chapter, so maybe chapter 6. It's self-talk and the power of boundaries. This is actually my favorite chapter within the book, because I have a habit of I'm not gonna say talking to myself crazy, but I have a habit of, I'm very hard on myself because I want to win, I want to be successful, I want my goals to come true. But within that, the way that you talk to yourself sometimes, that's not how you would talk to your friend. That's not how you talk to your mother. That's not how you talk to your partner. So you have to just have a little bit more compassion for yourself, a little bit more guidance. I guess guidance, but just a little bit more grace, honestly.
Yeah,
because we're all trying our best. We're doing the best that we can every single day. Every single day. So here's the excerpt I really want to mention it, but it starts with, just like with any new habit, it takes time to establish a sense of urgency and commitment. The conscious decision to be disciplined is the foundation for achieving your goals and making lasting changes. But to see the results you desire, you have to be unwavering in your dedication to your growth. One powerful way to stay on track is by creating a routine or schedule similar to what we discussed in chapter 2, which is about time management. When you have your time clearly accounted for, you can take full control of your life. And so I truly believe just with that is, if your time is accounted for, you know exactly where every minute of the day is being allocated. You can't say, well, why I didn't lose that 25 pounds? Or why I didn't do this? Or why I didn't do that? You can see right here, where's everything accounted for? What are you spending your time doing? Some of us might spend our time going to a little brunchy brunch more than we should. I'm, shouting out myself right now because that's my problem. But if you would have allocated
I like some good brunch now.
But it's all about accountability. I'm like, I can't complain, like, why you X, Y, and Z, but you decided to use that free time to do X, Y, and Z. It's about to that standard of accountability. So, yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed some of the stuff that we talked about today.
Yes, this was a great conversation, Nia. Thank you so much for being on the show. And the time flies because it's just about 8 o'clock now.
Yeah. Dinner ready.
You're right. My daughter decided to cook today. I was so happy about that.
Oh, yay! Look at you.
Yes, and I smell it. So
let Mama relax.
Thank you.
That's a good one, Savannah.
But she done brought me some food. Look.
We just took that up. Shout out to her.
Love her.
That's right.
No, but thank you so much, Nia, for being on the show. As always, I really enjoyed the conversation. I wish you all the best on your book, because it's something, like you said, not just for teenagers. This isn't just for teenagers. Some of us in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s need to really practice some of the principles that you're describing in the book. So thank you for doing this, and I hope that you continue to just build this platform and do more and more speaking engagements and get the word out.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rhonda. And if you guys are interested in purchasing the book, it's at
I was just about to ask.
Okay, my bad.
Oh, go ahead.
www.adultwannabe.com. It is available on Amazon, but Amazon takes all my royalties, so feel free to go to my website and purchase it.
Okay, I'm about to say we didn't put your website up, but here it is right here.
Yes. Thank you.
Wannabe.com.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Go to Adult Wannabe. If people go to the website, can they get an autographed copy?
They can. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, okay. It looked like you think about it for a second.
They said, let me know.
All right. Well, thanks once again for being on the show. You have a wonderful evening. Have a blessed week, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, perfect. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye. All right, everybody. That's it. That's another episode of the Horizons Author Lounge. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I love talking to our guests because they have such a wealth of information and such a wealth of different genres. So I learn something every week when I do this show. So thank you all for supporting. I hope that you will continue to watch, continue to support the show. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page, follow us on Facebook, and I'm even on LinkedIn. So shout out to the LinkedIn viewers as well. We have a lot of great things coming up. Remember, I told you about the Meet the World Writers Cruise that's going to be taking place August 29th. So DM me if you'd like more information on that. And if you are in the process of writing a book or you want to get started writing a book, make sure you also go to my store, teammtw.store, and I have a wealth of digital products that you can use that will help you on your writing journey, from workbooks to an entire Right to Win community to the Right to Win writer's workbook. There's a lot of information on there. Just go to teammtw.store and you will get all the things. And it's not expensive, y'all. It's not expensive. Just go get all the things. All right, y'all. That's all I have for this week. God bless you. Like I said, thanks once again for continuing to support the Horizons Author Lounge. We're continuing to grow. We're growing in numbers on YouTube. So I hope you guys are a part of that number. So that's all I have. I'll see you tomorrow on Black Authors Matter TV, on the National Black Book Festival Facebook page. And then I'll see you again right back here next Monday, where we're going to be interviewing 2 more amazing authors. All right, you guys have a great night. God bless you and bye-bye.